Welcome back to another episode of Ultra Morons. I'm your host, usual, Lane, and I got Connor here, with me again today. And today we're talking about what Horus has been up to. It's been a while since we covered him. It's just his whole heresy, so we got to cover him and what he's been up to since the last time, because we've covered a lot so far since Isfahan 5, which I think is the last time we talked about him.
I think so. I don't remember hearing really anything about him since then.
Yeah, it's been a while. So last episode, we talked about Fulgrim completing his transformation, almost killing Perch Robert to do so, and didn't work though. Perch Robert did not die, but Fulgrim did transform, and we're seeing more of that now, right? Because then we had Angron transform, we got Fulgrim transforming. Who's going to transform next? And we'll see. Maybe it'll be Horus. Probably not. But all right, So today we're gonna cover the story of Molech, and Molech is a system/planet. And it is kind of out of the way, kind of a not secret place because people live on this planet. It's a little out of the way. Before we get to that, we need to cover this one guy. First name Serdjek Medusa. With a name like that, you can tell he's an Iron Hands because Medusan, they're from Medusa. Easy enough, right? And he is on a place called Dwell. And Dwell is a planet, and there's a place called the Mausoletica, which is a vast precinct of ochre granite buildings where they keep the dead preserved in cryostasis so their memories can be consulted through machinery. Very Disney's Frozen Head in a Jar type thing.
Yeah.
Basically, is living dead people that they use their memories for historical purposes.
Mm-hmm.
Which, I mean, I get it. I mean, it sounds crazy, but it's like, what's the best history besides actual, like imagine if you had ancient Romans' brains in jars that you could like pull the memories of ancient Rome from. You would never need to guess because you'd have all the perfect information. So,
right. Just the first-hand account.
Yeah, especially for a setting that's 30,000 years since the beginning of humanity. Not beginning of humanity, since the year zero, I guess, when Jesus was born. Which is funny that the emperor didn't change because he believed in religion. They didn't change the years, considering it was based on Jesus' birth.
Yeah.
But I don't know, maybe he did. But anyways, it's the year 31,900 around that. Right. So it's a long time in the future. So yes, they have these living dead libraries. And when the planet was brought into compliance, this Mausoletica is what it's called, was left intact because he was like, fair enough. That's not I don't see anything wrong with that. It's a little weird, like kind of like a AI type, like fake people memory thing, but I don't know. Put down in the comments what you think about it. There you go. There's their engagement.
And sorry, is this the Emperor saying that, or is that the Iron Warrior that we're talking about?
No, this is way back when it was in compliance.
Okay.
Brought into compliance.
Got it. Yeah.
So, but he is on that planet right now. So Horus came here a while ago, and he's been there for weeks, just hanging out in something called the Pilgrims Hall, using the machines to interrogate the dead and pulling in whatever information they knew about Molech and what is buried under somewhere called the Lupercalia, which is basically the city, of is Horus, because his name's Horus Lupercal. So I guess Lupercalia is his city. I don't know.
Right.
That's what I'm guessing. And they had a fight to get there because the Iron Hands and Raven were there waiting for them because they kind of knew Horus wanted to go to Molech for something. They didn't know what, but he wanted to go there for something. And they're like, well, he's going to go here to steal this information from these dead librarians so we can try to catch them in an ambush here. Doesn't work, obviously. And Horus didn't just like blow it from space because he's like, one, that if I do that, then all the people inside are going to die in the brains and stuff. So I can't have that. And they also know, well, he's definitely not going to do that too because if he destroys the library, then he can't get what he needs. So this is where Serdjek Medusa comes in. And he is an Iron Hands commander who runs the Shattered Legions. Remember, we talked about the Shattered Legions last time. It's those group of people from those 3 legions that all basically got wiped out nearly at Isfahan 5.
Right.
So they're working out of that strike cruiser called the Sisyphean. I got it this time. So Iron Hands, Raven Gun, Salamanders working together, doing what they do, hit the supply lines, extract survivors, stuff we already covered last time. So the first wave was, and we haven't covered them yet, but White Scars are here too. They're kind of disguised as like custodians, not custodes, the golden guys, but disguised as like normal janitors, basically. Obviously, they're massive janitors, just like holding, but it's like so they're all kind of in disguises, and they basically try to ambush him, and it doesn't work. Horus is too smart, and they send these things called the Fire Raptors. These are Raven Guard type guys, also doesn't work. And he brings Mortarion is also with him there too, with Horus.
Okay.
So you really have 2 Primarchs to deal with. And they have a contingency basically where if this fails, then we're just going to blow up the building itself. So look, it sucks to lose this information, but he cannot have this information.
Right.
So Fulgrim appears here in his demon form. He's like, hey, guess what I just did? I'm back, and I'm a big snake now. And he's there, and he throws up this big force barrier. Like, what's her name from Incredibles, right? Like Violet?
Yeah.
Big force field.
Yes.
And these orbital bombardment hit the shield, and they just can't get through it. But some do, and they smash, like, just go through Fulgrim's body and explode outwards out his back. And he's still standing because, of course, he is, because his demon, he's got the juice now, you know?
Right.
Because you like you asked last episode, that sniper shot you had to kill him? No, because you know they only die when we want them to.
Right. I was say is now that he's all demon-y, is he really killable?
No, I mean if he does die somehow, he'll just go back to the warp and get reborn.
Right.
He just has a cooldown now. You know.
Yeah.
Same thing with Angron. Angron dies, he's coming back.
Right.
So Mortarion, unfortunately, does not have warp powers to hide behind, and he just gets blasted right in the face. It just gets destroyed. Like remember we talked about Lorgar hitting that plasma cannon?
Mm.
It's like that, right? His like tendons are getting ripped apart. He's leaking blood from every angle. His flesh is melting, and the fire raptors are hitting him and beating him up. And he's like trying to defend himself, and he's hanging in there, but it's not looking good. And Horus is making his way through the vaults, and he's trying to find the information before they blow it up. Eventually, the guns stop shooting, and Horus finds Mortarion. He says, "My brother, what have they done to you?" And Mortarion's looking like a broken doll on the ground. "They got me. They whooped me up. Help!" He's like, arms are hanging limp. His tendons are all torn, muscle burned away. He just Abaddon's there too, and he's also like his hair's burned down to his skull. Like it's nasty. Fulgrim got the least of it.
Yeah.
And even Horus has some wounds too, but obviously he'll just heal from it. That Primarch biology.
Right.
And so as retaliation, because Force succeeds, and he says, well, we got to retaliate. They can't just get away with hurting us like this. So there's a city kind of down the way called Tyun, and he's like, we're just going to kill them all. We're going to murder that population as like a repentance. And they do. And Aximand, well, he tells Aximand later, little Horus Aximand. Do I have a picture of little Horus here? There he is, little Horus Aximand in his green armor there. They call him little Horus Aximand because he looks like little Horus. Like if Horus was big, or that's kind of Horus. Horus looks a little different now. Obviously, he's all crazy looking, but yeah. This is Mortarion there as well with the big scythe called Silence.
Mm.
Yes.
So, real quick, do we know what information Horus was getting?
He was getting information about what is on Molech and this place he's trying to find on the planet.
Okay.
He kind of like going back to Mechanicus where they had that vault and nobody knew where it was. It's similar to that, where it's like this is the Emperor hid information on this planet Molech, and it was a very powerful place. Like this powerful thing here. Kind of like what we just talked about too with Perturabo and Fulgrim.
Yeah.
Going to that maze to find these quote unquote weapons. And it actually was a trick, but this isn't a trick.
Okay.
So Horus gets the information, and he tells Axeman later that actually bothers him the most. He says, what aggrieves him the most is the destruction the Legion unleashed in Retaliation, especially the loss of the Mausoleic. Raising it in Tyjan was unnecessary. So much there still to be discovered. So he's like, you're gonna see a lot of this with Horus. He'll do something really bad, and he'll kind of feel bad about it, but he won't feel bad enough to stop doing it. It's kind of like a two sides thing here, right? It's Harvey Dent.
Right.
So Medusan doesn't die though. He escapes, but he doesn't succeed. And he gets back to his ship, and they kind of leave the system. And they're like, well, we got to kind of still keep on him, right? We can't let him get away. We know he's going to Molech, so we need to follow him there. So they let the system dwell. And 6 weeks later, back on the Vengeful Spirit, en route to Molech, with this kind of what Horus has going on in his private staterooms. So he used to have a big star map. And the star map is not just a map of the stars. I mean, it is, but it's basically a big mural that the Emperor had made. He also has one at the Golden Palace too, where it's this, and I don't have a picture of it, but it's this big, like carved mural of the Emperor and the Primarchs. And it's like, I don't know if you've ever seen that picture of Manifest Destiny where it's like Lady Liberty pointing out to the west.
Yeah. Okay.
And it's gone though. He took it down, and now it's just a bunch of pages of these mythology texts, warp cosmologies, astrological diagrams, alchemical symbols, and a bunch of other things that are not really things that he should be having
Mhm.
instead of this mural. A bunch of other books called He Who Saw the Deep, the Nephite Triptych, Monarchy Alighieri, some of them lettered in Colchisan cuneiform. So it's just a bunch of religious and warp texts and diagrams and maps.
Mhm.
So really you're seeing now like, oh, Horus is not even, this is not War Master Horus anymore. This is Chaos Horus, you know? Like
Right.
he's starting to explore in those realms that are bad.
Mhm.
So X-Men comes in and gives him a briefing, and he finds Horus reading a crusade log for murder. So you remember a long time ago we talked about murder. It was the planet with the big mega arachnids.
Oh, yeah.
And it was like I think from like the first book, they fight these giant mega arachnids on murder. Sons of Horus and Emperor's children are there. And then they fight the big spiders, and Loken's also there. And they fought together. He's reading it and he closes it, and he kind of has this look in his eye like he's like, "Ah, didn't like," but X-Men doesn't quite get it. And he asks X-Men how long it's going to take to get there. And he says about 6 weeks. And it's actually faster than originally thought. And he says, I think it's something with the Ruin Storm is pushing us there. Like we're getting solar winds from the Ruin Storm. It's like helping us get there faster. I don't know how it works, but that's what he says. He says, oh, that's great. You know, faster the better. And he says, well, perhaps Lorgar's rampage across the 500 worlds has been more useful than expected. And X-Men asks, Lorgar's rampage? And Horus says, yes, I suppose Angron is doing most of the rampaging. Because, yeah, Angron is an animal right now.
Yeah. So with all that, I know like they're using kind of chaos stuff. I don't know if this is the right way to put it. Is chaos helping them? I don't know if that makes
Yes and no.
sense.
They still have to go into it and pull the power out,
Yeah.
but they can use it. Think of it like a warlock's patron in a way in D&D, or maybe I'm trying to think of a similar thing, but they're not, chaos is not serving them,
Yeah.
but they are borrowing the power from chaos to use in spells and magics and different things to accept. The Ruin Storm was basically a ritual that Lorgar did to cut off a huge chunk of the galaxy.
Right.
And Chaos didn't say, hey, you should do this and we'll help you do it. It's more of like, I offer you all these sacrifices to do this. They say, all right, looks good to me. Here's your Ruin Storm. You know, it's kind of like that.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yes. I was just thinking like with them like, oh, the winds are carrying us there. I'm like,
it's incidental.
Okay.
I mean, it might be on purpose, but they don't know. They just know it's like, well, it's helping us, so
yeah.
that's good.
Okay.
So he asked about the Mournable, because Loken was in the Mournable and Loken's gone. Abaddon is still there, Little Horus X-Men there, and Torgaddon is dead. Remember, Torgaddon died a long time ago on Isfon 3.
Yeah.
And then Horus X-Men asks kind of about his face, because his face looks a little rough still, Horus. And there's like his eye, one of his like sides of his face is like all cooked off. It's not yet fully healed. And he says, don't worry about it. It's nothing. Don't worry about it. And he's like, okay. So a little bit later, there is a time after we talked about a couple episodes ago, Sanguinius, the Blood Angels, and Kawanda. And I forgot to cover it there, but Samus was in that point in that book at one point. I kind of missed it, but is what it is. He didn't have a big part, but he was there. So Samus is still around. Remember the demon Samus? He's behind you, all that, right?
Yeah.
So he was there too. And then we talked about, I think it was Moros, his sacrifice to take that energy instead of Sanguinius and became the Red Angel. So in the corner of one of Horus's rooms, chained in silver, he has the Red Angel. He has him locked up in the corner. That's kind of what he looks like here. It's all chained up.
Okay.
And this is not Angron, because Angron's also the Red Angel, so sometimes it's a little confusing. But most of the time when people refer to that Red Angel, they mean the Moros demon changed guy.
Okay.
So, or they call him the Qruze Angelus. I won't call him Red Angel. And he absorbed the Rage Fire, and it made him into something new. And Horus, because I think, well, how did he get the Red Angel, right?
Yeah.
So Horus had a book, a little demon text. There's a book bound in flayed skin that contains a bunch of like just knowledge on demons and summoning and whatever. And through this book, he figured out how the Red Angel was made and how to summon it through its like true name and all these different things. So he gave it to Malagurst. Remember Malagurst, his equerry is called like Malagurst to twist his face all messed up. And Malagurst performed the ritual, and then the Red Angel shows up and he interrogates it. And he asks some questions and he says, tell me about the Obsidian Way. What is that? I heard this is a way to get to Molech. And then it says the Obsidian Way is forbidden to mortals. Horus says forbidden doesn't mean impossible. And the Red Angel says, you are not him. You can never be him. You his bastard son, the aborted get of what he was and will one day be. Him as in the Emperor.
Right.
And Horus is so mad, his little baby just stabs his big giant claw into the demon's chest and starts reading from the book to like basically hurt this demon. It says, if you do not do what I ask you to do, I'm going to kill you outright. And the Red Angel's like, all right, fine, you got me. Because if you have a demon's true name, you can control them and also totally kill them. So off camera, we talked about Grey Knights. Grey Knights have a lot of different books that have demons' true names. So let's say I go fight a little Slaneshi demon and I kill it. It goes back to the warp. It's going to come back. But if I hit that thing with its true name, it's going to be paralyzed and I'm going to stab it and then it's dead.
Okay.
But these are very rare and hard to get. You usually have to kind of go into forbidden places to get them. So Horus has the demon's true name. Like even Fulgrim now has a true name.
Right.
Angron has a true name as well. And they're usually very, very long and hard to pronounce. So I don't really actually have what their true names are because it's usually something crazy like that.
Right. Okay. So I guess from that, it sounds like the Emperor used that Obsidian way.
So thousands and thousands and thousands of years ago, probably 20,000 years ago, the Emperor went to Molech a long time ago, and that's where he got all of his power from, supposedly. And Horus right now is like, I want to do that.
Right.
The only way for me to beat the Emperor is to get the power that he also got from Molech. But the Emperor purposely said, nobody can do that. Nobody should be allowed to do that. And two, nobody's going to even know how to do it. Because it's going to be like basically buried away in forbidden knowledges and all these different layers and layers and layers. Kind of same thing with the Mechanicus with the vault, with the dragon in it.
Right.
The void dragon.
Okay.
So jumping to Molech, he's not there yet, but on Molech right now, it are just regular people. It is a nightly planet or night planet. Night planet? I don't know what you call them, but basically the planet has nightly orders on it and houses and nobles and stuff like that. So they are very well defended because having knights is very, very good. Because you talk about, I mean, it's like having a tank, right? Like a regular human cannot stop a tank.
Right.
A space marine cannot stop a titan unless you have like a certain weapons, right? But like, it's very good to have them. So they have a lot of them.
Right.
So as Horus shows up, he starts blowing up does an orbital bombardment, right? Just don't even put people down there yet. Just hit them from the sky, airstrikes, right? And there's a woman in a city of Larsa, and a woman named Olivia Soreka. And she gets hit, and her car tips over, and she climbs out of it, and she's running, and she's trying to go get to her family to go save them. And she finds them, husband, 2 girls, and they're adopted. And she puts them in the cargo transport and drives south through this city that is getting destroyed. And her husband's not asking her how she knows where she's going. He just believes her. And she's also used to be a pilot, a harbor pilot, which, like a boat, but also planes as well.
Right.
So she also drives cargo tankers as well. So she's very capable of doing things. And she has a tattoo on her arm, very faded tattoo of a triangle with a circle with an eye in the center, lettered in a language that no one knows. And she has been on this planet for a very long time because she is a perpetual. Yes. And a lot of people don't like perpetuals because it's a very Dan Abnett creation. So a lot of these books are written by Dan Abnett. Usually anything with perpetuals is Dan Abnett.
Okay.
Yeah, so she's perpetual, and the Emperor had purposely put her here to do something that only she knows how to do. I think you can imagine one of those, she's one of the layers basically of this vault.
Right.
So she knows that it's probably time that she needs to do what she needs to do to protect this vault. And because she has died before, but she always comes back. And her job is to watch the gate, whatever that means. Watch the gate. And she assumes, well, somebody's coming here to go get the gate, so I need to watch it. So she basically tries to get her family to safety while she goes back and watches the gate. Now, she is just a regular human, mind you. Perpetuals don't really have powers. I mean, some of them do. Some of them can be psychers. You can be whatever. It's kind of like a side thing on top of whatever you are. So, like, John Grammaticus has, I think it's called a logo path or something like that, where he can speak any language as long as he can physically speak it.
Right.
A logo kind, I think is what it's called. And like some Eldar, like some people in the Cabal are also perpetuals, not many, but a couple, and they might have like other things they can do. But she is still a regular flesh and blood human. So if she ever tried to fight Horus, he could just mush her with one hand, and she would die. She would come back later, but she'd be dead.
Yeah.
So we'll see how that works out for her.
What is do you know the kind of charge period of her having to
It
come back?
it's whenever,
Okay.
because like
Whatever the plot demands it.
it's kind of like even with the demons, like Angron's specifically because he's Corn is like 8 minutes or 8 hours or 8 days, whatever, because eight is Corn's number.
Mhm.
Perpetuals like John Grammaticus, he can kill himself and come back in like a week or the next day, or like the guy who killed Cyrene, or apparently it's pronounced Cyrene, when he killed her to prove to Argyltal, or apparently it's pronounced Argyltal,
Mm.
that she like can't live or something like that, and he was proving that by walking to a fire, then coming back out, like reborn. So like for him, it's like instant, So it's whatever the writer wants.
Yeah. Okay.
So they are attacking this planet, and the knights start coming out, right, with their war machines ready to go, and they are protecting the families, or protecting the city and the planet. And these knight families are have their two main households of Molech. One is House Donar, and the other one is House Divine. And one of the cities here is called Lupercalia. So that was the city we were talking about earlier, that Horus wants to, that there's something buried under Lupercalia. That's this city, which is named after Horus.
Right.
And the head of House Divine is Cyprian Divine. I have a picture of him here, old man. He pilots a knight called the Hellblade, and he not no one really likes him. He's not very well liked. He's kind of, what's the word, ornery, old angry man. Just everybody has a problem with him.
Yeah.
But he's good at using his knight, so well, at least he does that. And he has a son called Raven, who pilots a machine called the Banelash. And Raven holds the title of Imperial Commander of Molech, which is the highest civilian military authority on the planet. So he is very important. And he is trying to basically get refugee columns together, holding retreat lines, keeping people alive, because two of his eldest sons have already died in the first wave of like attacks. So he has to, work around that grieving process while trying not to get everybody else killed. And there's another person called Albard, the firstborn, who's apparently supposed to inherit all of this, right? He was the next in line of House Divine. But 40 years ago, on the day of his becoming, where basically you bind with your knight in like we talk about Pacific Rim, it's like that, right? You have to like put the little machine in, and you have to control the machine. You can't let the machine control you, because like, I think we covered a little bit in Mechanicus. Machines have their own spirit in them, in a way, like not like in a tree spirit, nature spirit. Like they literally have, like, some machines find a way to run on their own sometimes because they literally have their own machine spirit in them. So you basically have to bond with the machine spirit to let you take over for it.
Right.
And Albard was doing this, and he froze. He couldn't do it. And the machine basically broke free of his control and did some bad stuff. And they were like, oh no, if you can't control your machine, you're not going to be inheriting anything. So his father, Cyprian, who's the old man here, has basically kind of lost his mind a little bit too over time. Just being old and being locked into a knight can really wear down on you mentally. So he was married to not Cyprian. Albard is going crazy. Cyprian's a little crazy too, but in the different old man way. Albard is the one who's going crazy, and he's actually been locked up in something called the Dawn Citadel. And people only visit him every now and then. There's a movie called The Man in the Iron Mask, and it's about the King Louis or something like that, and he was the brother of another king, but they locked him up in the tower, and he would wear this big iron helmet.
Okay.
And it's kind of like that, where it's like he is royalty, but he's so embarrassing that they keep him locked up in like a prison.
Right. Kind of isolated from everybody.
He was once married to a woman named Lynx, but they got divorced because she can't be married to a loser like this. But she still visits him. Not in a good way, though. She usually just goes there to beat him. She basically one time goes up to him with a knife, and he spits in her face, and she says, "This may be quick, but I promise it will be agonizing." Albard then says the same thing to Raven after Albard ends up killing Lynx, because he this whole bombardment, he gets free, and he finds her, and he's like, "Oh, I got you now." And he kills her. And then he goes to kill Raven as well, because Albard's crazy, right? He doesn't care. Raven's his brother. He's going to kill him. So he says the same thing to him. This may be quick, but I promise it will be agonizing. And Lynx was Raven's sister wife, which I don't really know what it means in a way of sister wife. I don't know if it's like a Mormon thing. You know what I mean? I don't know if he has multiple wives, or it means like sister-in-law. I'm not sure what it means.
Yeah.
But she was the adoratress of House Divine, which is a visionary line. Women who have a gift of seeing
Mm.
And it's kind of like a psyker thing in a way, like an oracle in a way.
Mhm.
So she is kind of also like Doom, where the Bene Gesserit will politically keep a line, members of family going the line they wanted to.
Right.
That's kind of what she is. She has been purposely put in this position, and the bloodline has been carefully managed for thousands of years to make sure it goes exactly the way they want it to.
Okay.
And she has been making offerings to something she calls the Serpent Gods, warp entities longer than anybody on Molech can understand, basically.
Okay.
And
She's just a normal human, right?
regular human.
Okay.
I mean, she's an adoratress, so she's a little
Mhm.
something going on there.
But not like a professional. She's been doing this.
So, but she does die, obviously, because Albard kills her. But the Serpent Cult has its fingers in House of Vine's Knights and the Riders. And you can imagine what the Serpent Cult is. I mean, if you look at his armor, I think you have an idea kind of what perhaps maybe they're worshiping on accident. So really, to give you the numbers here, there's a full garrison of Imperial army here, of millions of regular Imperial army soldiers here as a garrison. To put that in perspective, America's army itself, I think we have 2 million. So this is a huge army. They have knight households, 4 Titan legions, 2 Space Marine groups here. So it's not just regular humans. You have some Space Marines that just hang out here too, that are already ready. And there are Blood Angels here. Now, thing with like legions is that like so Blood Angels are here, but these Blood Angels have probably been here for so long that these aren't like just necessarily the same ones that remember we talked about on Signa Prime. Those are different ones.
Right.
So these guys have no idea what happened over there.
Yeah.
I mean, they probably know that Horus is evil now, but they don't know the extent of the things that have been happening in the universe.
Right.
So these Blood Angels are there, and there is 83 of them. And the Emperor wanted these guys here specifically, and they are also Ultramarines here. It's funny we did the Ultramarines episode. Totally forgot to say Ultramorons comes from Ultramarines.
What?
Yeah, just in case that wasn't obvious. It's just funny I didn't bring that up during the episode. Also, the Mechanicus episode, we didn't bring up that your guy is a Mechanicus. I mean, goodness, what are we doing over here? Amateur hour. But so yes, you have all these guys here, and really they're just there. They don't know why. Because Fisher's like, what are we guarding this planet for? Like, we're gonna go there, go fight. Like, the planet's in compliance, doing fine. They have knights here. Like, what is the point? But the point is, the Emperor knew is because what is under Lupercalia, and he needs it very guarded because of what Horus is going to get. And there is a Titan here called the Paragon of Terra, which is an Imperator class Titan. And the Imperator class Titan, I have a picture of it here, is this thing. It is huge. There is no definitive size, but they're big enough to almost hold a small city on the back.
Right.
They are upwards of 100 feet tall. Yeah, so these things are very rare. I mean, if one of these things goes down, Mechanicus will make it their life's goal to go get it back. Like, they worship these things.
Okay.
So they are very, very important. Like, that thing right next to it is shooting as a Warhound Titan, which is one of the smaller ones. It's like half of his leg.
Yeah.
And those are like 30 feet tall. So
Yeah.
yeah, big deal here to have one of those.
So the kind of city on their back is like an actual functioning.
It's more of like a command center.
Okay.
Yeah, you would have, workers in there, Mechanicus in there, different soldiers doing their stuff. But it's not like a walking city.
Okay.
It's not really as big as a city. It's probably more like maybe like a village or a town.
Right.
But there's probably like 1,000 people in that thing.
Yeah.
It's massive. And yes, it is run by this Princeps. So Princeps is the principal basically of the Titan. And they have to also lock into the machine as well. But to lock into a machine of this size, you really have to be the best at what you do. Because one, you're probably not going to come out of it. Because remember we talked about Mechanicus, the Tempestus, I think it was called. He was in like a pod that they would put into the machine and then take out when he was done.
Yeah.
Because that's how like if you see, I don't have any pictures of it, but they're basically like them and the machine is one entity almost. They're like totally fused to it. So there's this woman named Etana Kalanice, and she is the Princeps of the Paragon of Terra. But also another thing too is like if that thing blows up or dies and she dies, it's gone. You would have to find somebody that can replace her, and there probably isn't anywhere that can do it. So it's also very rare too.
Yeah.
Also very hard to kill. So going back to Horus's guys, Horus tells Fulgrim that he only needs Mortarion and the Death Guard with him. He says, don't worry about it, I got it handled. And he said, but I need you for a different reason. You can come with me, but I need you not to do what, like, try to find this city with me. I don't need you for that. I need you to take care of House Divine. Because, I mean, they're going to look at you, your big snake body. Oh, man, they're going to love it. And because that serpent cult has already been running through the house. And somebody like Fulgrim shows up, oh, forget it.
Mm-hmm.
So Fulgrim is here, and the Emperor's children are not here with him. He just shows up as is. I mean, he's a Primarch, so like, what danger is there? Also, he's a demon-possessed Primarch, so really there is no danger at all for him, except for maybe that Imperator-class Titan, which would probably kill him, maybe. I mean, that plasma gun. Because the thing that shot Lorgar was not that type of Titan. It was a smaller version.
Right.
If that hit Lorgar, he'd probably be Ash.
Mm.
I don't think Aragorn could stop the stomp of that foot, but luckily there wasn't one there.
Mm.
So he is basically going around just corrupting this house. That's Fulgrim's job. Mortarian's job is to back up Horus as he tries to get under Lupercal. And Horus tells Aximand that he says also they can have the planet when he's done. Fulgrim and Mortarian. And he says he played his part, though I doubt he'll remember his time here fondly. Plasmic fire to the face tends to be an unpleasant experience, or so Lorgar told me from Armatura. So there's a thing called the White Naga, and Raven killed it. Now there is, I guess the thought is the White Naga was Fulgrim. He showed up there. He was like, I'm here. And then Raven was like, and he blasted him with a big plasma blast.
Mm.
And Fulgrim was like, ow, actually, that hurt a lot. But, Fulgrim just comes back and does his thing.
Mm.
So they start invading. So they stop doing the drop strikes, dropping the little pods into the city, just destroying everything and creating tsunamis. And it's just a total cataclysm. And Horus himself lands on an island called Damesk and is walking a very specific route. It's called the Fulgurine Path. That's the road I need to walk, and this citadel is where we'll begin. So it was the same path the Emperor walked when he first came to Molech, back in the Dark Age of Technology. So Dark Age of Technology, that's 10K.
Mm.
That is, so that's about 20,000 years ago.
Okay.
So he's following the same route, the same island, the same route to the mountains of the capital. He's retracing the footsteps exactly. Because he's like, if I need to do it exactly like he did it.
Does he know what that path is?
One, from the information he stole from the other planet, and two, because, well, we'll get to it, actually.
Mm.
And they're waiting for him at this city called Abaddon. The loyalist lines are waiting there, and Raven is among them fighting. And they're holding back his advance long enough that Horus himself takes a Night Lance hit. So a Night Lance is basically another plasma-type weapon. And it hurts him a lot. And he basically falls down to one knee and is like, oh, are you all right? And he's like, you know what? That actually hurt. Lorgar was right. That does hurt. Eventually, they take the beach, though. And Horus gives the order to clear the jungle that's blocking the Death Guard advance. And Mortarian passes it to somebody who died once long ago. And that guy is Ignatius Grul.
Mm.
So if you remember, is 5, the Eisenstein.
Mm-hmm.
So Grulgor was a Death Guard captain who got basically eaten by the Life Eater virus. And they were fighting on that ship. And he died and came back. And Mortarian sees him as this, like, basically rotting, revealing creature. It like reveals itself as Grulgor. And Mortarian's like, oh, but you know what? That could be useful. Because he basically is host to called the Destroyer Plague? No. Destroyer Swarm, I think it's called.
Mm.
Yes. And it's basically these flies that just eat up everything. And they're like, they come out of like these, he has basically these little, like, he carries this hive on him that just sprays up these flies. It's very, real nasty stuff.
Mm.
He's basically a walking pandemic at this point. Real nasty. So he says, go in there and take out that jungle because you can easily do it with your nastiness. And it's a very dense jungle. Think of the Amazon. It's tens of thousands of hectares of terrain that would take months normally to push through.
Mm.
But Grulgor is like, I can just walk and my nastiness will just destroy the plants around me. Just wilt them and kill them. He's hitting him with Wither and Bloom, but just the Wither part.
Yeah.
So it's just dying and just becoming a wasteland as he's walking through it. And the Death Guard are falling over this pestilent wasteland. And they end up at this thing called the Preceptor Line, which is an ancient stone wall marking the eastern edge side of civilized Molech. And the other side, which is like the jungle where all these dangerous beasts are. And the beasts are trying to run away from Grulgor because they can tell, like, I don't want to fight that nasty plague monster. So they're trying to run against the wall. And House Donar and the Imperial Army are fighting beasts and plague marines. They're not plague marines. Grulgor's plague and the Death Guard.
Yeah.
And they run out of ammo, basically. They just can't. There's too much.
Mm-hmm.
And they all die. House Donar is gone.
Mm.
On the left side, Horus's fleet is solving the Titan problem from orbit. Basically, just a tactic called Remember the Moon, which is a reference to a Chthonian moon campaign from 2 centuries back, where in Abaddon mutters that for 200 years, the leaders have been trying to forget that moon. Basically, what it is you fully power down a quarter of the fleet, vent, atmosphere, and launch ships passively towards enemies' orbital platforms. And they read it as like debris until they didn't realize it wasn't, and they fired the reactors at point blank range. So it's similar to, remember we talked about Calth and they sent that ship into the moon?
Yeah.
Similar to that, except it's smashing the ship into the moon. Basically, they just float towards you until they get close enough, and then they're right on top of you. I don't know if they detonate, but they basically turn back on and then just hit you before you can react. It's like so quick. You have about 30 seconds to do it to fight back. You don't have enough time.
Yeah.
So they do that move, and Malagurst is saying that there's a ship called, I think, the Guardian of Aquinas or Aquinas, and Malagurst is like, I don't think we shouldn't. We don't need to like. Basically, Horus tells him to board the flagship and take it. And Malagurst is like, that seems unnecessary risk. And Horus says, I want that ship, Mal, in a matter of practice. This is the flashback to the moon. Remember the moon tactic on Chthonian moon campaign.
Okay.
So this isn't on Molech right now. Yeah, just to keep it clear, this is a flashback.
Got it. Okay.
And he leads the Justarian through the hull breach of the flagship personally, and is among the Ultramarines defending it is a guy named Proximo Tarkon. And Horus fights through his squad, kills this emperor, takes the ship, and Tarkon survives, taking his prisoner. And basically, the captured orbital platform is then towed into position by the frigates and fired once on Iron Fist Mountain, which is so I'm a little off here. So that was a flashback, but also it leads into the present where they have this thing, and that's what they used as the thing to crash into not crash, but to drift into the planet, get close enough. This thing that the Guardian of Aquinas.
Okay. So they took a ship from this other.
They took a ship from the Ultramarines.
Yeah.
Basically, towed it into position, let it kind of drift into the spot, and once they realized, that thing's too close, it fires this big laser on the mountain, and is the stronghold of these Titans, and just crushes this mountain in on the Titans. So it crushes a bunch of Titans inside the mountain. Yes. So it's a flashback saying, but remember the tactic we did in this moon? We're going to do it again here, and this is how we're going to do it.
Okay.
It's a little confusing, but we got there.
Yeah.
He is just staring into the mountains, and he has been searching to find this cavern. He's like, I know it's here somewhere. And he can feel like a pull, like a psychic pull from it, but he's like trying to figure out, it's like a magnetism. He can pull in direction, but and eventually he finds it. He takes off his helmet, he walks to the edge of this water. There's like a little pond here in this cavern. He says, I have been here before. And Axeman asks if he remembers it, and he says, no, but every fiber of my body tells me I stood here. And as he walks through this cavern, ghost shapes form along the walls, and they're indistinct and smudged, like basically if you're looking through them like through a lens almost. But he can tell what they are. He says, that's the Khan right there, and that's a lion. And that guy is the Emperor. He can't remember like what he was doing there. And basically he realizes the Emperor did a psychic wipe of their memory of this. So the same type of thing he did to the Mechanicus back with the Vault, he did the same thing here to the Primarchs, to make them forget what they saw here and how to get here. But Horus kind of picked away at it enough that he started to form a blurry memory. And he says, this is a scab you left behind, Father. Something this powerful leaves a mark, and this is it. The bruise you left behind when you shaped your lie. So he's very mad. And raises his bolter at this Emperor Echo in the water, and says, hey, the water's boiling. Why is it happening? And Horus says, this is where I forgot Molech. Maybe here is where I'll remember it. And all of a sudden, out of the water jumps this creature. And it's supposedly an Eldar Bladelord, which is weird. Why is an Eldar here? Sometimes they're just in weird places. And these things are already fast as it is. If you saw an Eldar fighting as a human, you would it's like Dragon Ball Z fights. You would just see these flashes of light of this thing moving around. And this guy is even faster than that. So it's like, we keep going back to D&D, but Steel Wind Strike. You can attack 5 people as a spell. That means in 6 seconds, you attack 5 people and then show up in one spot. It's like that, right? In 6 seconds, I'm hitting all these guys coming back.
Right.
So this guy's moving up, and he is quickly moving and just trying to start attacking the people. Basically, a trap set up by the Emperor. And the first Justarian dies. By time they even know what's happening, basically it's cut down the middle. And Horus is trying to slash at it, and it moves out of his way faster than he can do. And a golden fist ends up hitting him, and he falls into the lake. Horus gets like knocked down. And the Justarian are trying to shoot this thing, and they're hitting nothing. And then this guy, Noctua, eventually drives his sword into the Guardian's back, and the blade melts in his hand. Like he just can't. Like even if they hit it, it's just destroying their weapons. An axeman is hurled across the cavern. His spine is like broken, and his legs don't work. So he's trying to crawl back into the fight. Abaddon's pauldron is ripped away with part of his shoulder inside it. So to kind of give you a look what Abaddon looks like, this is Abaddon next to like a regular Space Marine. He is big. He is very large. He's very Terminator plate.
Yeah.
So they're trying to fight this thing, and he gets pinned to the floor with this lightning, and he is being cooked by this lightning. Abaddon is nearly almost killing him.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next Justarian is atomized, and eventually Horus eventually catches it with his talons finally. Or no, he tries to go to the thing with his talons, and just won't hit it. And he's like, we can't hit this thing. So he realized, wait a minute. So he picks up Worldbreaker. And Worldbreaker is his mace. So I have a picture of him with Worldbreaker here. I'm sure you've seen it. I guess maybe it's in this picture? No, I guess not. That's his lightning claw, though, obviously in his hand there.
Yeah.
But in a lot of pictures you see, he has a large mace. There it is, in that picture of the book. This big mace. Like, it looks big in his hands, and he's like 10 feet tall.
Right.
So that thing is massive. It's called a Worldbreaker. And that thing was specifically made by the Emperor for Horus. So he thinks about it. He's like, wait a minute. What if I use this? So he does. He swings this mace at Worldbreaker, and it just nails this Guardian, and the Guardian explodes into embers. Because it was basically like, the only thing that could kill this thing is something by the Emperor's own hand, basically. It really kind of realizes. And the only thing that they had, luckily, was the mace. Mm-hmm. And it says, and with his death, Horus remembered Molech. He remembered everything. Basically, all the memories are flooding back in. And he stands in the dark, bloodied and surrounded by dead Justarian, and the full memory just floods back. What happened the first time the Emperor walked through the gate, what he came back carrying, and also like all the stuff that even the Lion and the Khan could also have memories of, but they don't know either. Mm-hmm. So going back a little bit, here we're going back to Raven. So he has been following this premonition from Lynx, that lady, of the White Naga, which is the serpent god, waiting for him in the forest. So he's riding the Banelash into the forest for days looking for it. And he's getting a little bad, right? He's running out of water and he hasn't been eating. Luckily, he has recycling systems in the suit, kind of keep him going. But the toxins build up enough where he eventually will die. But the problem is the landscape starts getting weird around him. This sensorium in his night erupts with sensation. Basically, flowers sprouting where he walks, colors he can't name, sounds he's never heard before. Everything becomes unbearably sharp, and he is like, it's like too much stimulation. Mm-hmm. And then he sees the White Naga shimmering with a light so bright that it's almost like nuclear light. Mm. Basically, amorphous clouds scented with musk and not Elon, but like a perfume smell. And it calls itself the Illuminator, the beginning and the end, and the ideal of perfection. And it calls him and says, come here and bring yourself to me. And it says, a blood sacrifice at Abaddon has earned you the right to speak with me. Basically, all the death on Abaddon, let me appear here. And Raven sees through it. He's like, I ain't falling for your tricks. He just sees, this nasty creature, a hideous monster from an ancient bestiary, basically like a dragon. He says, what are you? And this creature is trying to really get into his mind, right? Obviously, you can tell what this creature is. Yeah. Raven goes back into his mind when he was a kid and remembers something from his childhood. This creature says, no such thing in the world is perfection. If a thing were perfect, it could never improve, and so will lack true perfection, which depends on progress. Perfection depends on incompleteness. And the White Naga kind of slips for a second, like, wait, shut up. Hey, wait a minute. That's not true. But then he realizes, as this form slips for just a half a second, he can say, oh, no, this thing is madness. This is not real. And Raven basically coils his energy whip of this Bane Lash. He swings it, and it tears through the creature's shoulder, and it starts spraying out this light. And one of the arms gets cut off, and it basically hits this thermal lance and blasts it through this creature. And the thing lurches away, and Raven also starts running back because he's like, I got him with that, but if he does something, I got to get out of here. Right. But the problem was, even making contact with it with his whip already allows him the energy to seep into the machine spirit of the night. So even though he hurt the thing pretty bad, Fulgrim, it was enough that he made contact. So he's basically bringing back this corruption back to the night people. So like in the beginning, we talked about the plasma thing. So this is kind of there. So at some point in the campaign, Raven ends up killing Raven. And he brings up the Banelash behind Hellblade at the edge of a giant chasm, and he kicks him over. Cyprian falls over the edge, and Raven walks away. all that contempt kind of built up, and he finally let it out by killing him.
Okay, and that was
Raven that did that.
yeah, that's his dad that he just killed, right? And
Yes.
I'm assuming that's probably because of the warp kind of energies.
Yeah, it's kind of letting him get into those bad sides of his mind.
Okay.
And during that time, Albard has got beginning a little of that influence as well because of the cult that's been built up in the house, partially because of Lynx and her idolatrous things, and basically just small little there's little things here and there. And that's kind of how chaos works. Like we talked about, I can't remember which episode it was. I guess it was kind of Fulgrim's episode, where it's not like one event made them all go nasty. It was like this slow, steady changes that led them up. So for over months, like this thing isn't building up. And Albar doesn't fight it at all. Like Raven tried to fight it. Obviously didn't work. But Albar doesn't. He's 40 years of humiliation, and he's just like, all right, let me do it. Like, let me have a little bit of fun here. So this is where he gets Lynx executed. Like I said, he killed her earlier. This is basically where he kills her, shoots her in the head, and Raven is there, and basically says the thing. And now it's your turn, Raven. This won't be quick, and I promise it will be agonizing. But Raven escapes, and he gets back into his Bane Lash. And the Machine Spirit starts fighting him because the Machine Spirit is getting corrupted, and he is having a hard time here because he's like, I like work with me stupid machine. The machine's like, what if we were perfect though? Wouldn't that be awesome? He's like, what are you talking about? So Albard eventually catches up, and Albard is under a very weird delusion. He believes that he is the emperor himself for some reason. Like the delusions of grandeur are so powerful that he believes he is the emperor. On the first conquest of Molech, completing the mission that he needs to complete, Raven is guiding these 22 divine knights through Imperial lines, and then there's an ultimate officer named Archidon Cairo, who is watching, sees across the smoke of the battlefield, Bane Lash moving through, leading these knights. But what's really crazy is that he ends up attacking the Paragon of Terror, right? That Imperial Titan that we talked about. And he is like, wait a minute, aren't they the same side? What's going on here? And House Divine's sacristans inside the Titan, so are in the Imperial Titan, start turning it off the reactor inside the Titan itself. So it basically self-sabotage as well. So this thing starts going nuclear, right? Because I mean, the amount of energy it takes for something of that size, because this is what like a normal one looks like, right? Like one of that size, it's bad. It's bad news basically if that thing blows up. Like you've seen Star Wars, what is it? Last Jedi when they blow up the Starkiller base. And it's like forms like a black hole sun thing. Kind of what you got going on there. Now it's not gonna turn into a sun, but it's this like a nuclear bomb going off. You don't see the statues on top too. I didn't even notice those. That thing behind it isn't on his baggie. That's like a hive city.
Okay.
But this part here is the like the current base thing on top of it. So it just detonates. And 500 meters out, or 1,500 meters out, this explosion happens. And it's all gone. And Arcade and Kato is like, Raven Divine has been with Horus this whole time. How can we have not seen it? But what he doesn't realize is actually Raven is dead. He had died in the irrigation ditch outside Lupercalia with Lix. The person in the Bane Lash is Albard. Yes, that's the twist, is that Albard end up getting them and switching them out and killing him. But Kiros doesn't know that. So Blood Angels are there too. And I think you know where this is going for the Blood Angels. A lot of fighting. Ugh, I think it only lead to one thing. So in the jungle, they'll all succumb to the Red Thirst. And they kill a full company of Imperial Army troopers they're supposed to be protecting. And the Red Angel appears, the chained one, carrying the head of the Warden Agana Sirkin, which is an officer of Salakar. And I don't know who Salakar is. I don't remember who he is, but and basically the mortals around, not Space Marines, the regular people around him, Blood Angels like follow them and start worshiping it. And it speaks through, doesn't talk, but whatever. It says, this is what you all want, by just accept it. Your brothers have already drunk from the blade chalice I offered them on Cygnus. They now slay in my name. I know you felt the echoes of that moment in your own slaughters. Feel no guilt for that. Embrace the killer angel within. Join your brothers and join me. So, the Red Angel is a chaos demon.
Right.
So it's not a good guy. And I know it's probably sometimes confused because like, oh, it's Meros. And he like did a good thing, but it's like no, it totally turned him into a demon. So he's bad. He's bad now. He's doing bad stuff. And he wants the Blood Angels to turn all into vampires. The Red Thirst to take over.
Okay.
And that's kind of what he's saying here is like, hey, just don't, because they felt bad that they killed all those guys with the Red Thirst. But he's like, don't feel bad. That's what we do, you know.
Yeah.
So Apothecary Bastern steps forwards and he knows Maros,
Hmm.
and he says, I know you. You're Maros of the Blood Angels, my battle brother of the Helix Primus. Now and always, no power in the galaxy can break that bond. The demon says, that's not my name anymore. Don't say that. But the thing is, it loosens the grip long enough for this Psyker of the Blood Angels, who shouldn't be there because of the Council of Nicaea,
Right.
to reach out and basically purge his like being from the zone.
Hmm.
And this guy disappears and places this guy that basically he was possessing, named Salakar, right?
Okay.
And he is free now, but he feels bad, right? He looks at his sword, and he has all these ident tags, which basically dog tags, all the ones who died under his control. And he reads all the names, and he ends up killing himself. Drives sword up through his head, kills himself. And they're like, oh, okay. Well. So that's kind of what the Blood Angels had going on in their zone. Back to Olivia, remember the Watcher of the Gate. She gets her family out through the starboard crowds onto an evacuation ship called Moloch's Enlightenment. It's difficult though because people are panicking and dying, and the crush they call it. But she uses every trick that she has learned over her long existence to get them through. And at the last gate, she gives Vivian, which is one of her kids, a storybook. It's an old book that is a language she can't read. She said, "What does it say?" And she said, "I'll tell you later." But it's basically the book she would read them stories from when they were younger.
Okay.
And she leaves them to go and think. And she goes back to Lupercalia and toward the gate that she's supposed to. And Jeff, who's her husband, watches her go, and he's like, I knew this would happen eventually. So back above the sky in the Vengeful Spirit. The Shadow Legions are here as well. And there is a ship called the Tarnhelm. And the Tarnhelm is the Shadow Legions, like one of their other ships. And Loken is here. Gabriel Loken, or that guy, finds a chapel at the ship's prow. It is supposed to be empty, but he finds someone there. It's a tattooed warrior, an unadorned plate, sitting on the deck, calmly reassembling the components of a boulder laid out in front of him. And he doesn't look up until Loken basically is aiming a gun at him and saying, like, who are you? And Garvin says, what are you doing? And the guy says, I get bored of waiting for you to find me. This person is Severian. And Severian has been on the Tarnhelm since before Loken's team ever showed up. And he knew they were coming. He decided to let them discover them on their own, because that's how Severian works. And we have to go back a little bit here, because Loken has presentation case that Mercedes Allerton gave him. And remember Mercedes Allerton, she was Remember and she had his big head, and she basically showed Rogadorn the video of Ispan 3, and Rogadorn was like, ooh, that's really bad. So she gave Loken this presentation case, and she puts it, and then he puts it in front of Qruze. And Qruze opens it, and he pulls out a disc of hardened red wax with a long strip of yellow seal paper, which is an oath of moment. And basically, in a lot of Space Marine stuff, you'll see they have these little like wax seals of paper on them, on their armors, guns, and they're basically oaths, like oaths of a moment, oaths of persons. It's just a little reminder of something. So let's say, like Space Marine 2, Titus might have an oath of moment on his thing in the beginning when all those Death Watch guys die.
Yeah.
He would have an oath of moment for that to remember why you're doing what you're doing. But on the oath of moment that she gives him is blank. There's nothing on it. And he says, I know like how this was made. This thing is old. Like it's this yellow paper. It's like made before Isfahan. And he's like, I was never oathed for that campaign. She's like, how did you get a hold of this? And she says that it was she doesn't really remember. And Loken tells him that Cruz isn't going to be the half-heard no longer. That his voice is going to be very important coming up here. And then basically sees something in the shadows during this conversation. And he doesn't know what it is. And it kind of goes away. It's kind of a weird scene there.
Yeah.
They're back on the Tarnhelm. And Mercedes not here. She is in a place called the Nameless Fortress. And there it is very protected. You're not getting in there unless it's like I don't say a prison. It's not really a prison, but it's like a supermax facility. But he hates leaving her there though, because it's like, even though she's there, where something bad happens on the people that are there. So he kind of ends up getting mad at Qruze at one point. He kind of beats him up a little bit, and Cruz doesn't fight back. And he's just like, I get it. You're doing this because you feel a certain way about this thing, right? And he's like, yeah, I guess. And then he basically takes out this knife and goes to stab Cruz with it, and he stops. And he is telling Cruz, like, what does he say to him? Well, I guess he didn't really tell him anything. He kind of just lets him do it. And then he ends up breaking the knife, and he kind of feels bad about it. And he just apologizes, like, yeah, I shouldn't be doing that to you. That's crazy. So there's some small stuff there, right? So Loken's team at this point tries to board the Vengeful Spirit, and they shoot a torpedo into it and then get into a section with no automated defenses. And there are 12 of them there. They're called Knights Errant. And remember we talked about before off camera about Grey Knights. They're called right now called the Knights Errant. It's not really Grey Knights yet. It's kind of Malcador's own specific group. So Loken is in command here. He's here with Qruze, a guy named Tylos Rubio, who is a Ultramarine Psyker, and Severian. Severian is a former Lunar Wolf. And Bror Tirefinger. Tierfinger? There's also a Space Wolf, is also there. And Bror Tierfinger is kind of almost a insurance plan. If any of the people in this group right now, of these 12 guys, starts doing a little funny business, it's his job to kill them, basically, because that's what Space Wolves do. Like, remember with Magnus, with Angron, that's Leman Russ specifically, but that's what Space Wolves kind of do.
Right. So these kind of Knights Errant, are they still a part of their legions?
No, they're part of their own group now. They are like Malcador, like chosen guys. They kind of do special missions, basically. Like they're like, I don't say James Bond, but kind of like that, right? Or Mission Impossible type stuff. So like this type of boarding mission, they do this because they're a small enough group that they can do it, and they have like Malcador, who's Damper's like left-hand man or right-hand man, his like advice and knowledge and stuff like that. So they're kind of like a little special forces unit. Not like the assassins like we talked about before, but more just like we need to do these little missions here and there. Let's go do it.
Okay.
Yeah. So also a part of this group is Macer Baron, who was a world eater, not a bad one, just another one. Tech, who's an Iron Warrior, a good Iron Warrior. Vulcane, Arian, Alta Noai, who's a apothecary, and the other Space Wolves, Callan Zaven and Alton, which apparently is the best group of soldiers that Malcador could get together, which means they're really good, because Malcador can get whoever he wants.
Right.
So they're moving through the lower decks, this group, and they're moving fast and quiet. And Space Wolves has something called Futhark runes, which are basically protective / suppressing runes. So they're covered up by these runes, and it like lets them move without getting spotted. And they also are putting them down in places, kind of these hidden runes, for later on, because Leman Russ basically said, you guys are just there to give me intelligence. I'm going to go in there later on and kill them myself. But leave me the path that you made with these runes as well. So the Space Wolves are hiding under a little table, basically places nobody can see him except for Leman Russ when he's there.
Right. Okay.
Later on.
Yeah.
So they're moving, doing all this, and eventually Loken is starting to get some weird visions. He sees Torgaddon. He's like, but you should be dead. And Torgaddon is kind of this outline of smoke in this quarter junction, and he hears his voice. But he's like, it's not quite him. It's like he's like a weird voice. He's kind of in an illusion, but to him it's Torgaddon. He's like, you can't be here. You died. And Rubio is like, I can't have you like being like this. So he throws basically a psychic shield around everybody. He's like, all right, we need to lock in. All right, guys, stop having the things. And he keeps breaking the camps up in IKEA, but it's like, whatever. Like, we got to use the powers.
Yeah.
So basically they ask him, what did you just do? And he says, shielding you all from the psychic bleed that permeates this ship. Everything you hear from now on will be the truth. Because the Vengeful Spirit is covered in chaos, magics, and demons and stuff. So, like, you just get affected by it. Just like, remember when Angron was on his ship and started turning like weird meat?
Yeah.
It's happening here too. Right. You just get weird illusions.
A passive
effect, yes.
Energy or,
an eminence.
Yeah.
So eventually Sons of Horus kind of run into him. And they kill him, no problem, right? This team can handle those guys. And Macer Baron takes a shot, but it cracks the Ceramite and breaks some ribs. And Zaven gets a little cut, and they start moving, but Zaven is a little hurt. But he's like, we'll keep going. Don't worry about it. So eventually they end up in this bar. This bar, Loken kind of has a flashback here, where Mercedes Alton used to work. And it says down the corner is where Euphrates used to keep her lenses. And it's like that same place that back in, I think, the first book of the series is where like Keeler talks to. It almost gives like a Star Wars kind of feel, like this cantina type look.
Mhm.
And he's like, I remember this place, where like Keeler showed me pictures over there and all these different things, right?
Mhm. Okay.
It's basically turned into an ordnance store and like this stripped out of all like the actual thing. Like there is nothing human here anymore, right? It's just storage.
Yeah.
There's no remembrance here. There's no bartenders. There's no nothing. And Zabin is like, all right, actually, maybe I'm not good after all. He's kind of dying a little bit here. And the apothecary's trying to work on him. He's like, hold on, let me just do a thing here. And Tubal Cain is like, you know what? I'm starting to think Loken's compromised. And he's like, what? And he's like, you're seeing things that aren't there. You're compromised. And they're like, yeah, you're right. I'm not seeing anything that's not there. And they're like, yeah, neither am I. He's like, and Varen is basically says like, hey, dummy, nobody in the galaxy could have gotten you this far. Loken is important. We need to keep listening to him. And they're like, all right, maybe. But I'm gonna keep my eye on you. So as they're getting ready to go, Zaven dies. He just bleeds out too much, and it's over for him.
Okay.
So I leave him behind, and as I kind of take a time to kind of acknowledge that, that's when he tells Kurz, "Look, sorry about that, almost killing you back there thing." And Kurz is like, don't worry about it." He's like, "I've been waiting for that beating ever since I found out you were alive, lad." He's like, "What? Huh? Okay, all right." But Loken as one thing that he doesn't quite get. If Dorn told Kurz to keep her Mercedes' existence a secret, then why did Kurz tell him that she was at the prison at all? I guess the fortress. He could have said nothing. And Loken had boarded the train helmet but none the wiser. And Kurz says, well, secrets have like a way of coming out anyways. He says, I felt at the right time. It was the right time for me to tell you, and so I did. And because you would just keep asking what you were actually doing there until I said it. So I just might as well get ahead of it. Like you're gonna every day you're gonna be like, so what are you and Dorn doing at that place? It's like you and Dorn are hanging out. It's like, what are you guys been doing? So it's like, it's better if I just do it now.
Yeah.
And they say, we're also here to kill a man named Solomon Voss. But he's a good man, not a traitor, which is too good. But that's why Horus keeps him close. But Dorn thinks of it differently. He says, it was a good man sent to his death by Horus to sap our resolve and unbind the mortar that holds the Imperium together. And that's basically what Horus has been doing, right? He basically corrupts people that are good people and then kills them to show like how easy it is for him to do what he's trying to do. And Dorn is like can see it that way. But Kurz is like, I don't quite see it that way. Like Dorn is very rigid in his thinking sometimes.
Yeah.
Eventually they keep moving and they find a lodge meeting. And in this lodge meeting is Sergor Targos. I don't know if we've ever talked about Targos. We might have.
I think we've mentioned him at least.
He's in the first few books. So he is now the lodge master of the Sons of Horus, and he's been running the rites in the sealed chamber where he's been over like the past 30 years. And they see this. They're not. The people in the lodge don't see them yet. They're like sneaking up on this lodge meeting. And this guy Rama Carrion is going to the gallery above waiting. And then when Loken gives a signal, Carrion puts a round through Targos' skull. And then you hear Samus is here. Yep. And Targos body sits up and his fist punches into King's throat before anyone can move, tearing out his throat with one hand. He kills him.
Mm.
And Iron, because the Iron Warrior, and that's it. And it's just spraying blood everywhere. And it's next. Samus, the man next to you. I was like, oh no. Because remember, he dealt with this with Xavier Jabal.
Right.
And when he fought Xavier Jabal in that cave, when he was just by Samus was just killing 5 Marines, no problem. So they're in a real predicament here.
Yeah. He was the only one out of this group that
I think
that Ray.
Yes, because all the other people in the room died before he finally killed Jubal.
Yeah.
It is basically transforming this guy's body, kind of bursting out. And you see these tongues emerge, eyes, fang teeth. It's real nasty little guy. It says, I'm Samus. And Loken is having basically a pizza attack. He's like, oh no, not this again. And he's back in that cave again. But the team does not have this problem. They've never dealt with Samus before. So Baron runs up, hits him, tries to stab him with an axe, and the demon bites in his shoulder and blood sprays. And then Varen gets thrown across the room, and Bror charges in and gets swatted like a fly. And Wojtek tries to hack at him. Severian slices through the flesh. Courage is just shooting him over and over. Nothing is working. And Carrion is shooting. Rubio hits him with his sword. And eventually, Rubio hits him with his flame-wreathed blue steel sword and it stabs into him. And the fire leaps from the weapon into Samus. And Targos' robes go up with the fire. The demon starts screaming. And it's hurting because there are some weapons, like, I don't know if we talk about on camera, but the Emperor's sword is built specifically to kill demons permanently.
Mhm.
If you kill a demon with the Emperor's sword, it is gone, its soul is destroyed. So there's some weapons that can do that. There's not many, but there are some. So I don't know. This sword can't do that, but it has enough power to actually hurt a demon. So it's actually hurting Samus. He's getting worried because wait a minute. I don't, but he starts taunting. He says, "I know you, Gabriel Loken. I claimed your brother's soul in that mountain cave." He screams in torment still, and Loken feels something grab his leg and looks down. And Tubal Cain's hand is scrabbling at his armor, and he's still bleeding out. And he's help me. And Cain takes his helmet off and basically tells Loken, like, you need to fight, but he can't. Like, he's trying to say something, but he can't get his words out because throat's torn out.
Yeah.
And then he dies. And then as he dies, basically trying to get Loken to fight, Loken snaps in. And he says, I'm back, guys. What happened? And he says, I can fight this demon. Me and a guy named Vipus killed it before. So I guess he wasn't the only one who survived there. Vipus was there too, but they killed it before. So he brings his sword up and runs towards this demon. Now, up in the top of where Carrion is in the gallery, he has been being attacked by basically smoke. Not attacked. There's like a small smoke around, and it's making him lose who he can see in this smoke. So he's trying to take these shots and trying to find the space between what he can see and the smoke and the demon, and eventually goes to take a shot, and then he hears a voice. Nice rifle. I think I'll take it. And Tormageddon is there. I don't know if we ever talked about Tormageddon. Talk about Torgaddon.
Yeah, I would say I don't think so. I'm trying to think.
Yeah.
A lot of these names are getting similar.
Yeah, Tormageddon is not Torgaddon.
Yeah.
So Carrion's trying to run away, but Tormageddon is faster, and he basically stabs him in the back and takes the rifle from his hands, and then he falls and kills Torgaddon. And down in the chamber, they have Samus surrounded. They got flanking on him. They got advantage to hit him, but the problem is he got magic resistance. You can't hit him with normal weapons.
Right.
So Rubio keeps trying to cut him with the magic sword. Loken cuts off one of his arms. Severian is stabbing him in the back, and the demon's actually starting to kind of fall apart here. And then all of a sudden, these arms come up like snakes through the ground and get Loken knocked away. And then as he gets knocked away, you see Targos Gladius is lying there with Ultima on the ivory pommel catching the light. And as he reaches to it, another hand picks it up and it says, "This is mine." A guy named Proximo Tarchon. And Proximo Tarchon is an Ultramarine Centurion. I think we talked about him a little earlier. And he rolls underneath the demon and drives the Gladius up into the stomach. And the effect is instant. Basically, Targos' body falls apart at the molecular level, turning into liquid and collapsing into a pool of rancid matter. So this Gladius is very powerful, obviously. Yeah. And they all kind of they don't want to get that, ickiness on them. So they kind of step back, and eventually Nohai, the apothecary, runs to Cain, and Loken says, "There's nothing you can do for him." And Nohai says, he that is dead, take from him the legion's due. Basically a little prayer type thing, right? And he takes his reductor and he rips out the gene seed, because that's what they do. And it is not a pretty. It's not pretty when you do this. When you take the gene seed, kind of just stabs a giant hole out of somebody. But it is what it is, right? But as Nohai goes to do this, all of a sudden he falls. His back of his helmet explodes outward, and he slumps forward on Cain's body. Smoking entry wound drove through the rear of his skull. And he looks up and they see Tormageddon with Carrion's rifle. Just took him out. And start running up there to go get him. And then 24 sons of Horus can enter the room. And Severian looks up and looks out and he says, "Noctua? Grail Noctua of the Warlocked." Basically, Severian was in the same company that he was before he was part of this group. He's in now. So he says, "Raise a single weapon and you all die." So Loken, Cruz, Rubio, Baron, Wojtek, Severian, Bror, and Tarkon are all taken. The other 4 are dead. Zaven dead, Cain's dead, Carrion, and Nohai all dead. So they get basically taken up and they go to Lupercal's court. And there is another woman that we have talked about called Tyana Corion. And she is the general of the Grand Army of Molech. And she has a bunch of tanks that she uses. And she is trying to defend what she can defend. And there's a lot of them. And she says there aren't enough. So she's doing what she can. And they open fire. And then some time passes. And then eventually you see her crawling out of her, it's called a storm hammer. It is destroyed. You just have blinded, burned, broken ribs, all a mess. And she's like, "Yeah, I'm probably gonna die." So she picks up her Saving Private Ryan at the end, right? When Tom Hanks has a pistol, he's aiming at the tank. She's kind of doing that meme right now.
Okay.
And as she sees going through the smoke and dust, two giants are moving toward each other across the battlefield. And she knows what they are, right? But she can't feel hate, instead she feels awe. She's like it's so incredible seeing these things, these titans. And what she hears one of them talk to another one. Not titans as in the machines, because these are actually two Primarchs.
Okay.
And then she hears him speak. When it says, "Let your plans be dark and impenetrable as night, brother, and when you move, fall like a thunderbolt," says Mortarion. And then, "In war, they will kill some of us, but we shall destroy all of them," says Horus. The last thing Tyana sees is them coming together, embracing in victory. So that's basically it, right? Horus has crushed Molech, and Lupercalia is his. Right, obviously, because before he was in the cave.
Right.
Next on is at below the Lupercalia is this chamber cut from rock that has been here for forever, right? And it is this is the gate, and Olivia has reached the gate before Horus has. And this gate is a slab of black obsidian that exists in an infinite number of possible realities simultaneously. It's like a quantum door. And it is not really like a physical door, but it's basically a door of all doors. Like whatever you imagine it to be as a door, it is that door. It's almost a metaphysical thing. Like physically there may not actually be a door there, but there is one to you because you're perceiving a door there, because there isn't. It's almost like a mimetic thing. So you have to. There's a certain way you have to enter the place, and obviously only the Emperor knows that. I mean, she's supposed to protect it, and there's a seal here that can only be broken by a certain way. And Olivia is here to maintain that seal, and she basically has the knowledge that is like, it's so deep in her knowledge that she still doesn't really understand what she's supposed to do, but she knows that she's supposed to do something. But she's now starting to get it. She basically traces patterns on the surface of the gate that she has memorized over centuries, and starts speaking words that aren't really words. It's like a different language, and it's also doing it back to her in a way. So every thing that she is giving back to her as she tries to like do this mechanism.
Right.
She can hear them approaching through this tunnel. The Sons of Horus are moving forward, destroying everything in their way. And eventually this Ultramarines guy, Castor Alcade, basically puts himself between Olivia and the War Master when Horus arrives. And you can assume Alcade it does not go well for him.
Yeah.
He knew that, right? Obviously he's not an idiot. But he basically runs up to Horus and he stabs him with his gladius. And it shatters on the picture of Horus here. So you see that like iron eye there, amber eye. Yeah. He starts to stab right there and just shatters into pieces, this gladius. Not the same one on that what's his name had on the ship, mind you, in the Vengeful Spirit. But a lot of Ultramarines use gladius because Ultramarines in the Roman thing, it's yeah. So, and then as he does this, he's like, oh no. Worldbreaker comes up on his swing and hits Alcade so hard, it's as if he never existed. Like it is a brutal hit. Olivia unfortunately caused the best thing she had ever seen. Like it's just so impressive. Like it's like awesome, literally. You know what I mean? And she's trying to work the gate still. She's tracing the final lines, and she's speaking the last two sentences. And eventually, Horus goes up to her and stabs her through the back with his talons, just pins her to the wall. And he holds the hand out, and she looks up. And I mean, she's not dead from this, mind you, somehow. And she's trying to say something to him, and he has to kneel down to hear what she says. It says, "Even souls ensnared by evil maintain a small bridgehead of good. I want you to remember that at the end." And Horus is like, I don't know what you mean. Whatever. But then the other side of him kind of likes it because he's like, you know what? She saw me not as an enemy of humanity. Because, you know, understand, Horus's whole thing, he does not want to kill all humans. He just wants to take out the Emperor, and what the Emperor has built, he feels like is a lie and is built on the Emperor being evil. So somebody like her seeing the good in him, he's like, I'm happy you see it my way, you know, type of thing.
Right. Sometimes I have to remember the kind of distinction of like, okay, you know, it's like Fulgrim and Angron, like they're kind of like feel like pure chaos.
They're evil.
Yeah, he's more of just, at least right now, just traitors against the Emperor, but he's not necessarily like full chaos.
Yes, he's lawful evil, right? Fulgrim and Angron are chaotic evil. Yeah. I guess Fulgrim is more of neutral evil because he still has some coordination, but somebody like and going, I just want to just kill, murder, maim, destroy, right?
Right.
Yeah, Horus is just rebellious. He thinks the Emperor's whole design is flawed and he needs to be replaced, and he's the one that can replace it. So he's still evil, though.
Yeah.
No. Different purpose.
Not inherently chaos.
No, he does not want chaos to win, but he's kind of an idiot in that way, too. It's like, really, you don't think you're helping chaos?
Right. It's like,
Looking
even
for
though you have like Snake Demon.
Yeah. And like the Red Angel.
Yeah.
It's
like, okay.
Sure. But he says, you shouldn't put your faith in saints, Mamselle. And he stands and turns to the gate, and the gate is again responding to him. And luckily, her family left, so they escaped the planet. And she is dying, and unfortunately, she's not seeing the gate in time. So Horus sheds his armor, takes off his whole armor, he's standing there basically naked. Well, not naked. He's in his fitted robes. These like under robes he wears. Yeah. But he's basically naked. And he looks at Mortarion and he says, the gate only opens in blood. Cut me. And Mortarion says, are you sure? It's going to hurt a lot. And he says, do it. He says, okay. And he takes down this giant scythe. I have it in the picture here of Mortarion. That big scythe there. It's like 9 feet tall or taller. And he basically cuts him from clavicle to pelvis, just straight down. Not just a little wrist cut, like he's trying to kill him. Yeah. And the pain is unbelievable. He is like, wow, actually, it really did hurt a lot. Actually, you were not lying. And the blood spraying out from this wound, hitting the wall, and is washing away all the failed seals. It picks up Worldbreaker and swings it into this wall, door thing, whatever, and smashes it. And this absolute darkness pours out like an ocean of dark matter. And the chambers goes basically pitch black. And Abaddon is there, Axeman there, Falcus Kyber, Mortarion's guys, all them, they lose all their senses. They can't see anything, they can't hear anything, there's nothing. And then when the light returns, Horus is gone. And where their gate was like a vertical pool of black oil, like a little portal type thing. And Mortalion tells Falcus Kyber, who is already moving towards the portal to go after him, just stop, don't go in there. And Mortarion says, only one other being has passed in the warp and lived. Are you equal of the Emperor, little man? Basically, it's like, you think you can go in there? No, that person's the Emperor and now Horus. And this spaceman's like, I'm gonna go in there too. Like, okay, buddy. Yeah, right. So Kyber's like, yeah, I guess you're right. And little Horus is looking at Silence, and he sees the blood is still wet on the blade. Because it's not been long. But it feels like it's been a long time. Like, they feel like he's like been there for hours. Like, he's gonna come out, but it's only been like a couple of seconds or a couple of minutes. And they're waiting and waiting and waiting, waiting and waiting, waiting. And on the other side, Horus sees like a bone white sand and blood red mountains and a sky on fire from horizon to horizon. 8 radiating pathways, each one leading to a fortress on a mountaintop. 4 cardinal roads are the 4 citadels of these 4 powers. Screams and booming laughter roll down from the peaks, and the gods inside those fortresses are laughing at the person who just walked into their domain. So basically, Horus just walked into warp space, right in like the center point of all the 4 gods, and they can all see him. And they're all like, you think this is a good idea? And the Red Angel is here too. He brings in with him because this is warp space, so it can move him unbound. It doesn't need any assistance. Right. Horus reaches out and grabs it, and he picks him up and he says, you are here to guide to me, not perform for me. Do not do no funny business, or I will kill you somehow. And he said, you will take me to the ruinous powers, and you will speak my name, and you would tell them the galaxy's new master would treat them. And then the angel tries to say something. He says, shut up. Just shut the hell up. And it's just basically, if it's going to add a character, like, man, shut up. Side bow, And then the Raiders are like, okay, fine. So he guides them. And they're just back in the chamber waiting still. And a thought comes into little Horus's head. Not his own thought, though. It was like delivered to him. And it says, Horus is weak. Horus is a fool. He's kind of looking around like, who said that? Who was that? He kind of is like, whatever. And he looks at Mortarion and looks back at the gate. Like, you guys see that too? Or, okay, whatever. Similar to kind of the Fulgrim thing, remember, with the sword. And eventually the surface of oil erupts and the War Master follows through and he lands on all fours. And all the people rush forward to help him, like, bring him up. And he's breathing heavy like he just came out of deep water. And they see immediately that something has changed. It looks like he has aged 200 years somehow. They see silver threads through the stubble on his scalp. The grooves on his eyes are deeper. It looks like he has been accelerated age. Now, mind you, a gray hair and a Primarch is kind of crazy. Right. Because they don't age really at all. So the fact that this guy aged is crazy. But they can see something behind his eyes that is burning brighter than anyone ever seen it, like some real passion. And Horus says, you're still here? And so you waited for me after all this time. And little Horus says, of course he would. You've only been gone moments. And Horus says, moments? Then everything's still to be done. Basically, to him, it was hundreds of years he was doing what he was doing. But to them, it was just like, like 5 minutes, man. And they all dropped to their knees, basically to not worship him, but we give him that, like, oh, he's done it. And this power filling Horus blooms out like heat from a furnace. And they feel it. Basically, he now has the power of the Emperor, which is not good.
Yeah.
So the thing is, and we'll get it a little bit later, but I'm going to cover it here as well. The Emperor took that power by tricking the Chaos Gods. He basically said, I'm going to borrow your power to use, build something cool. Is that fine with you? Don't worry, I'll give you guys something in return. I said, of course. Something powerful as you, that makes sense. He never did it, though. He's like, I totally tricked you. Stole your power. And that's why they kind of don't like the Emperor, because he has a debt to them that they want to repay. But Horus went in there and by his raw will took the power. There was no bargain. There was no whatever. He went in there. He didn't fight the Chaos Gods, mind you, but he basically just did it. It doesn't really say what he did, right? Because obviously that would kind of get rid of some of the mystery. But by the raw strength, he did it.
Right.
And they basically asked him, did you find what you're looking for? And he says, yes, I found exactly what I was looking for back on the Vengeful Spirit. When Loken's team got caught and they brought to Lupercal's court, which is at the heart of the chamber, the chamber at the heart of the Vengeful Spirit. And it used to be kind of, in the first books, it was this grand chamber full of all these computers and monitors, and it was where people would just have these big meetings and all these different operates. But it's a big, not war room, but it was a hall, this like a sports stadium in a way, But now it's just these black standards are hanging from the ceiling. It's these shadows are in the dark parts of the room, and his throne is made of basalt, and he is in it wearing his armor again. And this is actually, that's when you realize, oh, Horus has already done this whole thing, and he's now on the ship with all that power.
Right.
So they're brought before Horus, and the man standing with Horus there are Abaddon, Axeman, Falcus Kyber, and at his right hand is Grail Noctua. And it's basically realized, oh, this is the new mortal ball. These four guys are placed us. And I guess not new because Abaddon and Axeman are part of the other one, but Falcus Kyber and Grail Noctua are their replacements, basically.
Right.
So Horus looks at Loken and he can't help it. I mean, that's his father, right? He was genetically predisposed to love this man. And he's trying hard to fight it. And Horus says, I thought I'd never see you again. And Loken basically has to build himself up and he says, why would you? I died when you betrayed everything the Luna Wolves ever stood for. When you murdered Iswan III, the loyal sons of 4 legions. And then Horus basically says, yeah, sure. But I have a feeling you came back to the Vengeful Spirit because you want to rejoin the Sons of Horus, didn't you? Tearfinger is there. And he started getting his hand towards his sword. He's like, you better not. If you do, I'm going to kill you. Garvey, he feels it a little bit. And he takes a step toward the throne. And he takes another step. And he's like, and then Iacton Qruze stands up. And he said, Loken, don't do this. Don't listen to him. He's betrayed us all, made us monsters in the eyes of the very people we were wrought to protect. Then Abaddon punches Cruz so hard he flies away. And he's like, shut your mouth, half-herd. And he punches him. Because in this picture here, you see Abaddon is not a small guy. And he has this big, massive fist.
Right.
So, a smaller man would be punched into ashes. He punches him so hard.
Yeah.
And
yeah, I think Cruz.
He's old.
Former Sons of Horus?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
He was one of the oldest ones.
Yeah.
Everybody always made fun of him because he's he's the half-herd.
Mm.
Oh, back on Terra, we used to do it this way. Oh, yeah, sure we did, old man, whatever. So, yeah, but he's there and he gets punched, unbelievably hard. And then a memory kind of goes back into Loken's mind of Euphrates Keeler aboard the ship years ago when she reached out to him when she was warning of him what was coming, and he dismissed her. He said, oh, you're just, that's crazy. That would never happen. And she asked him whether or not he would step out of his regimented life and sending his corruption for the greater good of mankind. And he just didn't listen. And Mercedes Alton also told him the last time he saw that the half-herd's voice we heard louder than any other than Legion. And he looks at Cruz on the floor and he steps back from the throne. He's like, oh, I see what she was saying. He's trying to talk some sense into me. So he steps back. And Horus tries again. He says, come back. Come on. You be great. Kidding me? You're one of my favorites. And he says, you could be part of the greatest endeavor the galaxy has ever seen. And Loken says, I already was. It was called the Great Crusade. So got him. And they start fighting. So Tearfinger goes for Garradon. So this Tormageddon isn't a person necessarily. It's a demon, but it's also kind of a demon that just possesses people. Not like Samus, because Samus is possessing them that kind of bursts into a new Samus. Torgaddon is like kind of like a spirit enhancement. So it's weird.
Okay, so he can possess like a space marine or whatever.
Yes, and if they kill that space marine, he'll just jump to another body.
Okay. Yeah.
So Torgaddon's another body, and Tearfinger's going to fight Garradon, who is possessed by Torgaddon, and Rubio and Wojtek are trying to fight the Mournaball, but it is a very short fight. They are overwhelmed, and Wojtek is taken down with a bunch of bolter hits. Tearfinger gets Garradon's arm around his neck, and he's just choking him out until basically what happens is Wojtek's servo arm, because Wojtek is like a tech marine kind of, his little servo arm that reaches, grabs Tarkon's Gladius, and stabs it into Garradon's back. And the demon's grip loosens enough that Tyr tears out his throat. And then Torgaddon is expelled from the body because the host is destroyed.
Right.
So that's how Torgaddon works. And somewhere in the chaos, Loken doesn't quite see it happen, but Horus does. As he sees Torgaddon getting expelled from Garradon's body, when Tearfinger kills it, the demon essence is loose in this court for an instant. And then it looks around and says, "Who am I going to get? Who am I going to get?" And it looks at Grail Noctua and is like, "I want that one." And the demon finds a new host. And Noctua appears to be he doesn't go crazy. He just possesses the body. He just doesn't move at all. And Horus sees that. And he's like, "Nice." And Noctua nods back. And eventually Horus ends up grabbing Qruze, and he stabs his hand through. So Cruz basically starts making fun of Horus. He's like, you're pathetic, you're a loser, whatever. And Horus is like, all right, that's enough out of you. And he stabs him through with the lightning gauntlet, and he pulls his hand back, and he has both of his hearts in his hand, and pushes him away, holding his hearts. And Gabriel Loken is like, oh no, they killed Cruz. And he tries to fight to get to Cruz, and everyone kind of stops for a second because it's like, oh wait, somebody actually died for real, guys. Wait a minute. Except for what's his name, but whatever. That's Torgaddon. It didn't count. And Gabriel gets to Cruz. He says, "I'm so very sorry." And Cruz shakes his head. He says, "No time for an apology." And he's trying to talk, but obviously he's dying. Both of his hearts are gone. And he puts something in Loken's hand. And he closes the hands over, and he says, "Don't open it yet." And then it says the light in the half-bird's eyes went out, and he was dead. And Loken lays him down, and he pulls out 2 Chthonian mirror coins, the Severian gave him a while ago, and put them on Cruz's eyes. Basically, it's what Luna Wolves would do for dead people. The old classic for Karen and all that, right? And Loken is now he's really feeling a certain way. And Horus says, "I didn't want to come to this, Gabriel." And Loken ignores it. He's like, "I don't believe you." And Gabriel says this: "I guarantee you that before the sun sets on this war, even if you win, even if I die here, you'll rue the day you ever turn your back on the Emperor. For every planet you take, the Imperium will exact a fearful tally of Chthonian blood. I guarantee that even if you conquer Terra, the fruits of victory will taste like dust in your mouth. I guarantee that if you don't kill me today, you'll meet me again. I will stand against you at every outpost, every wall, and every gate. I will fight you with every sword at my command, with every bolt and every fist. I will fight you with bare hands. I will fight you with the very rocks of the world you seek to conquer. I will never give up until the sons of Horus are dead and no more than a bad memory." So he's in with the whole, what's the British guy's name? On the beaches and on the seas.
Gosh, I can't think of what it is.
Churchill, Winston Churchill.
Yeah.
Basically, he's getting the Nazi thing where he's like, we're going to fight on the beaches, on the land, in the skies. He's like, no matter where you are, I'm going to kill you. And Horus looks at him, and he says, he's like, I'll still take you. Like, sure. You can still come back to it if you want. And Garber says, "I was never a son of Horus. I was and remain a Luna Wolf, a proud son of Chthonian, and a loyal servant of the Emperor, beloved by all. I am your enemy." Horus accepts it. And he picks up Cruz's helmet off the ground. He speaks into it. And he says, "How's a hunter's eye, Rusua?" And then Rusua says, "I have him say the word." And he says, "Just take the damn shot." And the great stained glass cathedral of the court goes out in a blizzard of shards. And these guns fill the room with killing fire. Basically, the Tarnhelm pulled up right next to it. They didn't realize it. And starts just shooting into the room they're all in. And the atmosphere vents out in an instant. And all the guys on that ship, on the Venture, the good guys, quote unquote, get teleported out right before they begin the fire. So the ship does it, blows up the whole thing, and then jumps out because they know don't stay there and look if you killed them because they're just going to kill you.
Right.
So they get back, and they're not doing so hot, and everybody's there, but Cruz is not because he's dead, right? And it's not looking good for them. Like they made it out, but it was a Pyrrhic victory.
Right.
And they're sitting together, and they're drinking something called Dezira, which is basically a alcohol that space wolves they drink,
Mm.
because they can't drink regular alcohol. Their space marine biology is way too, like, they could drink straight 100% ethanol and they wouldn't even feel it. So they have to make this like super alcohol that if a human drank it, you would just explode probably. Like, it's just straight up rocket fuel. So they're drinking that. And Tearfinger says, look, we didn't fail. We marked the ship. So when the Wolf King comes for Horus, he'll have an easier time because of what we did. It's like, people died and it happens, but at least we did the mission. It's like, all right, yeah, I guess we did. So, because the whole point is like, they knew that they were not going to kill Horus, but Leman Russ probably could. So, back on the Vengeful Spirit, Horus is fine. I mean, he got a little roughed up from that, but I mean, whatever. He's got superpowers now. And he is on his training robe, hands placed behind his back. And the fleet is kind of getting ready to go, collect the last of the troops from Molech's surface, and the course is already set. And the sons are waiting his orders, and he looks at the stars, and he says one thing, basically, I am coming for you, father. Right? Real classic movie ending cliffhanger thing there. So there is the thing that Cruz gave Loken. Now he finally opens up, and it's a small metal box, and it was a disc of hardened red wax affixed to a long strip of yellow seal paper. It was the oath of the moment. And all it says is one thing on it: murder. And it was written in Mercedes Oliver's hand, and she gave it to Cruz to give to Loken when the moment was right. And basically, that it was his oath of the moment was Cruz's murder and also the planet murder. A little double meaning there. So, and that's kind of where it ends. Horus is a god now. Is coming. Any questions? I mean, that was a long one.
Yeah. So I guess I'm curious. This is going to be kind of a callback to closer to the beginning, but was it ever explained what the obsidian path or way that what exactly that was?
It was just literally just a map, like not a map, but like a trail.
Okay, to get to,
and he could remember it faintly just because when he was brought there, as him and the Lion were there, brought there too. It's that path that they took. So that's basically the path he was taking that he started recalling really hazy memories. I was here before, but I don't remember why. And then eventually, when he kills that apparition of the Emperor, which is just an Eldar like defense system, then he's like, oh, it all comes back. He wiped this memory from us. But him having this weird willpower was trying to override it. So basically, yeah, that's what it was. It wasn't like a puzzle path. It was just like a similar to the Mechanicus one, where it's like you have to go to this cavern and then down this cave and through here, down here, get to there. Because even Olivia, she knew it, but she didn't know how she knew it. But it was basically installed into her to keep this gate, and she was trying to lock it as her final thing, but she didn't have enough time, and Horus kills her.
Okay,
she'll come back eventually, but she'll come back eventually, and then but it's like, why she failed? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, like, I don't know what you do now.
Like, what are you doing to try to seal it again? Like, I guess you could, but I don't know.
I was curious because you were talking about the Harry guy kind of with I was going to say the Grey Knights, the Knights.
Errant, yes.
Yeah. So if he takes the gene seed from, let's say, the Horus person or Iron Warrior or something like that, are they able to do anything with that? Or is that really, should the Iron Warriors kind of own that?
Well, you would give it back to the Iron Warriors.
Right.
If you had the gene seed, you take it out and put it in like a little vial or whatever, and you would give it back to them and be like, hey, here's your gene seed, you should make more of your guys. Now, obviously, in Iron Warriors' case, they're all bad, so they might just take it and just hold on to it for research and data or something, or they might just use it to make more loyal Iron Warriors. So, because, I mean, the whole plan was like, after a certain point, we'll just kill the traitors and just restart again.
Yeah.
So, you might just take it and put it in a tube, and then just for later, when you want more Iron Warriors that are loyalists, you could.
Okay, got it. And then, I'm trying to think if there's anything else. So, I know we talked about Mortarion, and he kind of had, I guess, the plague, like war. Yeah. So he's still him. He's not kind of.
Mortarion's not a demon.
Okay.
But Mortarion is normal, healthy, not healthy because obviously he has always weird sicknesses. No, he still looks like this, right? He's still a normal looking guy, Primarch. Yeah, he's nothing weird about him. The only two we have right now are Fulgrim and Angron.
Yeah.
Horus is not a demon Primarch. Transformation, he just takes the powers of the demon. It's different.
Right.
He's like ascended to Horus. He kind of has this thing going on now.
Yeah, kind of like the Emperor, I guess.
Yes.
Kind of separate.
So yeah, he basically has, it's like Super Saiyan 2. Like this is to go further beyond Primarch.
Yeah. Okay. But then, so Death Guards still are not kind of turned, but they're kind of interacting with those.
Only one is really Grugor.
Okay.
Just because of the Life Eater virus and the warp energies turned him into that. Every other Death Guard is still regular Marine. They have not been affected by anything yet. Our only really affected ones are legions are word bearers, because they had the Galvor back, the demon inhabitants, Emperor's Children. World Eaters, not really, but kind of. They kind of are just the butcher's nails and stuff, are kind of messing with them.
Yeah.
Kind of with like Torgaddon and stuff like that in Samus. But like they're not demons. They're not really like, there's no real demons yet, except for Torgaddon is a demon. The Red Angel's a demon. Ingron's a demon. Fulgrim's a demon. Samus is a demon. I think I'm missing some, but yeah. But there's no it's not like all demon warfare right now, where we just like are getting real nasties just running around. I mean, Kabanda was pretty close. That's a greater demon.
Yeah.
But that's like the only time you really see that so far, is because even Emperor's Children, they work with some like Slaneshi demonettes, but those are like lesser demons, kind of like those red blood drinkers or blood.
Like just kind of the horde.
Just the little red demon guys with the swords. Those guys are just like regular demons. They'll show up too, but you can kill them. You shoot them in the head or something.
Okay. And then I guess the last thing, I know kind of through the beginning, them kind of defending the planet, we're talking about how the Shattered Legions were there. Are they kind of put back together, or are they just still operating pretty?
So the Shattered Legions with like Medusan, they kind of are doing their own thing, but like they're kind of a side, similar to the Knights Errant, but the Knights Errant are specifically Malcador's guys. The Shattered Legions are kind of just a small like resistance group. It's like a splinter group. They don't have any. They're led by Medusa, right? They're not led by anybody else. They don't, because Vulcan supposedly is dead on Ispan 5. Ferris we know is dead,
right?
And Corvus Corax, which we'll cover eventually, he is back at, I think right now he's on Terra trying to get his Raven Guard back, because I think there's only like 3,000 left or something like that. So he's trying to do something there. In the meantime, the Raven Guard, Iron Hands, and Salamanders are kind of working together because they have no real leadership right now.
Okay. Yeah. So, but I know the Knights here, they're kind of now their own thing. So, like, obviously, Loken's not a son of Horus, and like all these people are not really Ironward, but the Shadow Legion, they're still in their respective.
Yeah, they're still wearing the same armor.
Yeah.
They still have all the same stuff. They just are their own unit instead of being only Salamanders, only Raven Guard, only Iron Hand.
Right. So if Corex comes back with more Raven Guard stuff, would those Raven Guard be like, okay, we're gonna go with him now?
Probably, unless he was set. Like, it depends on what he says. Like, no, stay with them and help them, or like, hey, come back and join. Because it depends, right? If the Shattered Legions are just doing that basically out of necessity, because they have no instruction. They don't. Their Primarchs are gone. The Emperor's not going to do anything. Malcador doesn't talk to them. So it's like they're kind of working off what they know for right now until they can get back to Terra and then kind of split off. I mean, obviously the Salamanders and Iron Hands have a hard time because their guys are gone. But yeah, Raven Guard, if Corvus Corax comes up and says, yeah, hey, come back with me, then they have to come back with them.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
But yeah.
Yeah. Anything else? I think I'm good. Yeah.
Yeah, this one was a long one. A lot of stuff happens that we had to cover. Some of it was kind of whatever, like the stuff with the houses and stuff. That doesn't really matter too much. But yeah, biggest thing is that Horus now has the powers of a god, and he is heading to Terra next with Mortarion and Fulgrim with him. Where Mortarion is not demon, but Fulgrim is. So yeah. But if that's all, then I guess we'll wrap it up there. But if you got this far in the video, drop a comment that says, "Wow, really cool," in the comments, so you know you got this far. But besides that, thanks for watching. See you next one. Bye.